Hello and welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and today a puzzle that was sent to us a long time ago, resent to us. I think Garlic Bread Fries wanted a shout out for his birthday on the 10th of March, and we never did that, but happy birthday anyway to you, Garlic, if I can call you that. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Don't forget our Patreon content. We've got the April rewards still going until the 20th, and lots of entries coming in for that. Thank you for the compliments about the puzzles as well. They're gratefully received. And also loads of other stuff on Patreon. Simon did a Fistm of Hell Solve at the beginning of the month. There's always stuff going up there occasionally anyway. And you can also check out our Discord server, and the various other links under the video will take you to Sven's SUDOKU PAD, our merchandise, our apps. Anyway, loads of stuff always going on with the channel. But this puzzle, let's go through the rules. It says it's called X-sum Skyscrapers, and normal Sudoku rules apply. We like that. Numbers along a line have a value in between the two circles. So we've sort of, this triangle is giving us two lines in between two circles, and these are between lines. So if you had a 1 and a 7 in there, these would be numbers from 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, although you could have a repeat on it, so no problem with that. Digits outside the grid are X-sum Skyscraper clues. This means that the number is the sum of the first X cells, where X would be the skyscraper clue outside the grid in that position. Now this needs explaining. So first of all, I'm going to randomly fill in a row of digits there. Now, what is the skyscraper clue from either end of this row? What you have to do is imagine these numbers as buildings of a certain height. And then the clue outside the grid, if it was a normal skyscraper clue, would tell you how many different buildings you could see. Now, if you looked from this end, you'd see the 1, the 3, the 5, the 6 would be taller than that, the 8 would be taller than that. Then you wouldn't see the 7, 2, and 4 because they'd be hidden behind the 8. And you'd see the 9 at the end. So you'd get a clue of 6 outside the grid here. From the other side, from the right-hand side, the clue in this row would actually be a 1. Because you'd see the 9 and everything else would be hidden. So that's how normal skyscraper clues works. But here, you have to take that 6. Actually, I shouldn't delete that. Let's put them all back. That 6 means that we add up the first 6 cells. So they would add up to 30. And the 1 over here means you'd add up the first 1 cell from that direction. And that would give you a 9. So that's how this works. It's a very interesting rule idea. Little complicated because it relies on you understanding both X-sums and skyscrapers. So maybe this is for the aficionados. I don't know. But do try and follow along with the solve if I can achieve it. And we'll see how it goes. I like the idea, but it might be a little complicated. And it might do your head in because I will be looking at these clues thinking of them as X-sum clues. I can't help that. And they're not. They're X-sum skyscrapers. Anyway, enough waffle. Let's have a go at the puzzle. You can try it on the first link under the video. I'm going to start now. Let's get cracking. I have no idea where we get cracking on this. So between those circles in this box, these are 5 different numbers. So the circles they couldn't contain 4, 5, and 6. They must be more extreme than that. Because if they had a 4, the other one at the most distance could be a 9, and then you could only get 5, 6, 7, and 8 into these cells, and you need 1 more. So yeah, so they don't contain 4, 5, and 6, and that's not really solving the puzzle, is it? Now, some of these clues, sometimes they're quite conflicted clues, but I think the way that this X-sum Skyscraper works is as long as you have something that isn't, I don't know. Yeah, no, they're not really very restricted at all. I was thinking that these corners where there are 2 clues might be helpful. I don't think they are. This row might be helpful where there's, oh yes, this is difficult to do. Okay, there's clues at either end, and those clues add up to 54. Now, why is that interesting? That implies there's overlap between the counts from one end and the other end. The overlap, now if you know the secret, which is that every row in a Sudoku, just like every column and box, adds up to the same number, and that number is 45. Anyway, if you know the secret, you know that the overlap in this row is 9, which is 54 minus 45. So that could be 1, 2, or 3 cells. But I think it's difficult for it to be many cells because the skyscraper number in these rows, yes, the skyscraper number, right, the total of the two skyscraper numbers in a row cannot be more than 10. Now, what am I talking about? I'm saying, remember this row that had, let me do it in a different way. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 there, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 there. Now what you might notice about that is the numbers are ascending up to the 9. So you can see 5 buildings from the left and 5 buildings from the right. And that means 5 and 5, they add up to 10. I don't think you can ever get a bigger number than 10 out of those two sums. And I think that really matters here. And the reason I think that matters is because effectively that 54, 29 on the left, 25 on the right, that's being achieved over 10 cells at the most. Yeah, that must be right. I'm just trying to think of a situation in which you could see 6 buildings that way, but 5 that way. That can't happen because the 9 must be somewhere. And in fact, in this row, I have now worked out the 9 is in the middle. Right, how do I know that? Well, these numbers, 29 and 25, they're fairly significant. They both have to be more than 3 digits because 987 only adds up to 24. And therefore, we are definitely counting at least 4 digits each way. But these two cells cannot have a 9 on because they're between line cells. If you put a 9 there, one of these would have to have a 10 in or something, and that's not allowed. So one of these 3 has to be a 9, and because of the between lines, it has to be that one. And that means the numbers ascend up to that 9 from both sides. That means that not only is 1 on one end or the other, but that the 8 in the row must be next to a 9. So it's got to be in one of those cells. Which, okay, I'm just going to say it feels interesting. Right, this is no, there's 2 other columns. There's no other rows, but there are 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. There are lots of columns where we have clues both ends, but we don't get any more overlaps. They add up to 20, 26, 32, and 35. Okay, but this column has all these between lines clues in it. Oh, of course, 9 can never go on a line. Right, where does 9 go in this column? It can't go here now. So 9 in the column is in one of these 2 cells. And if you put 9 here, then this skyscraper clue would be a 1, and the X-sum skyscraper clue would count that 1 cell and be a 9. That's actually the only 9 clue in the building, in the puzzle. So that's the only place in this column where you could start with a 9. But actually you couldn't start with a 9 because of the 29 clue at that side. So anyway, 9's in one of those 2 cells. It can't be there. It must be here. Oops. And that's the end of the count of skyscrapers. So as soon as you see that building, you're not going to see any behind it. So that's got to be a 1. And that's right. The skyscraper clue would be 2. And that means add those 2 cells and you get 10. So that is not a 1 or a 9 in this circle. Oh, and 8 is on the line, of course. So 9 has to be in one of the circles. It has to be here. This is the low one. And it's 2 or 3 now. It can't be 4, 5, 6. We worked that out at the beginning. these numbers are all from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm not afraid to put in a lot of pencil marks. Now, what about this 22 clue then? I don't know. So it must be adding, well, it's now adding at least 4 cells because the most you can do in those 3 is 21. So it's adding at least 4 cells. So you're going to get at least 4 buildings ascending as you look up. Okay, I don't know how to make that work. What else can we do? Oh, 9 in this box. Ah, bingo, of course. 9's in one of those 2 cells. Exactly the same deal with the 10 up here. It can't be there. So that's the 9. And again, we're now counting 2 cells. So we put a 3 in there. And that takes 3 out of these. Gives us a 1-2 pair in column 5. Yeah, interesting. Oh, of course. The lowest number here has to be in the circle, because otherwise, if you put 3 in the circle, 2 would have to appear somewhere in the column on the line, and that would be breaking the rules. So it's 2 in the circle, which is less helpful, but 3 is one of those. Ah, now what does that do to the total as we look up here? If this went 6, 7, 8 to maximize that, well, 21's not enough and 23 busts the 22 clue, so it could go 5, 7, 8 and then the 2. And that would work. That's quite plausible. 5, 7, 8 would mean that you would see in the skyscraper sense, you'd see the 5, the 7, the 8, and then the 9. So you'd be counting the first 4 cells, and 5, 7, 8, 2 adds up to 22. So that would work. But is there a possibility of counting 5 cells and putting something else here? Now the minimum for these is 15, plus 2 is 17. This would have to be less than 6. To count 5 cells, this would be 3, 4, or 5. How would you make up 20 in those other 4 cells? You can do it. Oh, but you couldn't have the 8 down here, or it would block the view to this. I don't know, I can't get my head around that. Is there a way of doing this? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to think about something else. I'm going to think about these actual numbers in this row. We worked out what is... can this be an 8? Then the count of 5 would be 9, 8, and those would have to add up to 8, so it can be. They'd have a 1 definitely here. Okay, that wasn't a great question. What else should I be looking at next? I was forming a view on where 9's can go, wasn't I? Yes, look at this row. No, maybe there's an even better one. Yes, look at this row. This is better. Lovely. Where does 9 go in row 1? We can place it. We can actually place 9 in this row, because this 29 is going to have to add at least 4 cells. That's the minimum to get to 29. That means that the 9 in the row must be in at least the 4th cell. Well, it can't be there, there, or there because of this 9. So it's in one of these 3 cells, and it can't be there or there because the clue outside the grid would be a 9. So 9 goes there. So 9 in the bottom row now can't be here. It could be here as part of that, as the kind of end of that 14 clue. And it could also be here. Can't be there or there. Oh, look, 9 in this box is in one of those 2 cells. That's just Sudoku. Maybe I should just do a bit of Sudoku. That can't be 9. 9 is in one of those 2 cells in box 3. Oh, it can't be here or here because of this 28 clue. It's going to have to be in one of those two and then in one of these two, and it can't be there. Of course, I can place 9 there and there. Getting quite... So all the 9s are done apart from one little X-wing of 9s over here. Now, this is adding up to 9. Oh, bother, yes, okay, I'm misunderstanding the rule again. That means, since it can't include that 9 and these cells, well, that would already be too many, obviously. And it can't be just one cell anymore adding up to 9, obviously. So it must be adding 2 cells. Now that means this 9 is going to be the second skyscraper that gets seen. This is the first, and this doesn't get seen. So this must be bigger than its partner that adds up to 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, or 4, and this is 5, 6, 7, or 8, and they add up to 9, and then that clue's fulfilled. Now, in this row, well, this can't be 7 or 8, because then you would only see 3 skyscrapers. If this was a 7, you'd see an 8 somewhere here, and then you'd see 9. That's all you'd see. And that would mean you'd only add 3 cells, and that can't possibly add up to 29. So that's 5 or 6 now. Can it be 6? If it's 6, then you'd be seeing... Oh, it's got... No, 6 would be 4 cells. Ah, but the 4 cells to add up to 29 would have to be 9, 8, 7, 5. They'd have to include a 9. They obviously don't. So that's a 5. Oh, this is a bit easier than I realised if I could just work out what's going on, which I cannot all the time. So we get a 5 there. Now 6 is going to be in one of those 3 cells. I am marking across boxes this time because I just want to understand this puzzle. 7 in one of those 3, 8 in one of those 3, because we have... Ah, but we're adding 5... Yes, what I'm getting my 5s mixed up. I think that's still true, but we're seeing 5 cells. So yes, that is still true. We're adding 5 cells. That's why we're seeing 5 cells. Not because... Sorry, I'm going to start again. I'm right, but I can't explain it. In this row, this 5 is just the starting number. That's not saying add 5 cells. But we've worked out that adding 4 cells won't get us enough. So we do have to add 5 cells. And that means we have to begin with a 5 so that we can see 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, to tell us to add 5 cells. Now the 5 cells we add will add up to 29. Plus those 2 is 39. So these 2 add up to 6. They're a 2-4 pair. This is not an 8, ergo. One of these is an 8. This is now not a 7. 7's in one of those 2. 6 is in one of those 2. And this row must work. In fact, I'm going to mark this cell because I've done the 9 clue down and the 29 across. Once I've filled in that as 1, 2, 4, 9, this must perforce be 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, which add up to 29. So I'm going to have to fit a 3 in somewhere. I don't know anything about that. Oh, 1 is there, 1 is there. So there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells. Can't be on the line. In fact, 2's in this box already. Now we've got a 4 there and a 4 there. Not very helpful. Yeah, it's finding these important numbers is tricky. So if that was an 8, that would be saying the skyscraper number was 2, so the next cell would be a 6 to make that 14. That is possible. If it was a 7, the skyscraper number would definitely be 3, and those 2 would add up to 7. If it was a 6, well, the skyscraper number might only be 2. Might only be 3, or it could be 4. That's the trouble with skyscrapers. There are so many variables that... Oh, this can't be a 6 anymore because that's the furthest to the right 7 can be. 6 is definitely confined into these cells. So that is 7 or 8. We are adding only 2 or 3 cells here. If it's 3 cells, we can't use 1 or 3, so it would be 7, 2, 5. If it's 2 cells, it's 8, 6. And what I'm leaving out of account there is the possibility that this isn't 7 or 8, which is still possible. So that is not clever. We could go 6, 7, 3. Oh no, we can't go 3. Okay, so I'm not leaving it out of account. That can't be a 3 because we've got the 3 in the column. Sorry, I do find this a bit confusing to understand. As you can no doubt tell. Now, come on, what else can we do? I've done this 12 clue, so let's mark the ones I've done. I've done that 10 clue. I haven't done many of the clues. These 29 and 25, well, I know they ascend. I know these are sort of effective thermos running into the middle. That's not that helpful, is it? This, no. This has to add at least 3 cells. Could be 4. Oh, this one is adding lots. I don't know though. Sorry, I'm not working out quickly what to do next. 2, 4, 9. How many is this adding? It could just be 3 cells if they were 6, 7, 8. That would actually work reasonably well in the puzzle as a whole. What about this? 9's all the way up there, but this isn't adding many cells, is it? It's going to be 2 or 3 cells to make 11. Can't be 1, 2, 3, 5 in 4 cells. So those 2 or 3 add up to 11. Maybe I can do this by generally arithmetic, which I'm better at than X-sums and skyscrapers. If I can just find places where... Oh, of course, look, this column, it's the underlap. We looked at the overlap earlier. 22 plus 10 is 32. So there is an underlap, a sort of gap of 13 total. It could be, and the gap is here in either 2 or 3 cells. It could be 6, 7 or 5, 8 there. But if it's in 3 cells, 3, 4, 6 it would have to be, wouldn't it? I was about to conclude this couldn't be a 3. This can't be a 3 anyway. Oh, this can't be a 3 anyway because of this. Yes, that's why. 1, 2, 3. That, in fact, it can't even be a 4 because if that was a 4, this would only add up to 10 plus 9 is 19 in its 5 cells. Nowhere near. So it probably can't even be a 5. 2, 3, 4, 5 and a 9 would add up to 23. That's not enough. So this is at least a 6. And I think that tells us that this is a 4-cell count to get to 22. Because if we used that as well, the absolute minimum is 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, which adds up to 24 and busts it. So we are adding 4 cells. They have to add up to exactly 22. These 3 have to add up to 20. I'm taking 4 and 6 out. They are 5, 7 and 8. This now becomes a 6. That places 8 and 7 in row 5, where we have to ascend into the middle from both directions. Now, 24, these 2 add up to 5. So the smaller one is 1 or 2, the bigger one is 3 or 4. That must apply at the other end, and this must be where 5 goes. So the central row is very helpful. Now, we are counting 4 cells because we are seeing them in this order, 5, 7, 8, 9. So that is right as well. Excellent. We've got a 4, 6 pair on the line. We've got a 3, 4 pair on this line. It's a very helpful column. It took me a long time to see how. That's an 8 now. So this is a 7. That's an 8. This is not 7. One of these is 6 and the other one is 3. Now this is 7. So these two do add up to 7. They don't use 3 or 1. That's a 2, 5 pair. These are from, oh, that is a 1, 4 pair because we've got 6 in the box. And this is 6 now. This is 3 thanks to the 1, 4 pair in the box. This is a 3, 6 pair. Wow, so I've done that clue effectively. 8, 3, 6. This is a 5, 7 pair. That can't be resolved. The line, I'm finished with the line. Everything I've done will conform to that, however I finish off. These I've sort of done with. Okay, I'm going to say, no, I'm not done with them because I have to make sure these pairs add up to 5. Now here, ooh, 6 and 8. Now how many cells are we adding in this row? Given that the most, we can't be adding only 5 cells and leaving 8 and 9 and 2 others out. We must be adding 6 cells. And I doubt that we're adding 7 because that would leave 9 and 8. We're definitely adding 6 cells. So this must ascend up to 6, 8 and then 9. So these are all getting bigger on the way up to 6. And then we have to make sure that this whole group adds up to 28. We've already got 14 there. These others have to add up to 14. I think they have to be 2, 3, 4, 5 to make that happen. They do. Yeah, we can't have a 7 earlier. It gets the wrong number. So that's right, I think. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then over here we have a 1, 7, 9 triple. And it doesn't really, I mean, this clue is done. It doesn't matter where 9 appears. It's going to be the last one seen after 8. So the skyscraper number is 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, say. 6 digits. So we add those 6 digits and we get the right number. 4 there is looking at this. So we now know, sorry about using the wrong mode. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 4. And those clues are both done now. So lots of clues suddenly being done. Now, down here, this 11... is it counting 3 cells or 2? It can't be 2, I don't think, because we've used 3, 2, 4 and 5. And they would be needed in a 2-cell combination of 11. So it's counting 3 cells. This must be a 7, 1 pair to make that work. This is a 6, 8 pair. And this row, this column sees an 8 in one of those cells before the 9. It must see the 7 before the 1, otherwise we'd be counting 4 cells. 2, 8, 6 is a triple here. 7, so I've done that clue as well. Now I've got 2 clues down here that I haven't touched. Just thinking about the gap in this column. 17 and 18, 35 would leave 10 in the middle, which probably includes this 1. Yes, especially as that's a 7 or 9. I don't really know. Actually, look at this 19 clue. Can't start with an 8 because we're adding at least 3 cells. Or we can't add 4. Oh, yeah, we could. Hang on. 6, 2, 5, 9. What does that add up to? Too much is the answer. I think we're doing 3 cells. 8, 6 and 5 make 19. That's what I mean by just doing maths rather than X-sums. So 3 cells. We can't start with an 8. We start with a 6. 6, 8, 9 gives the count, and the count is 3, and they add up to 19. Right. That fixes the 3, 6 pair at the top. Actually, that 3 fixed it. I hadn't noticed that. We get a 4 there and a 1, 2 pair. This is a 7, 8 pair. 1 and 5 are a pair there. This is a 3, 5, 6 pair. This has become a 1. 2, 4, 8 down here. Right. We can't begin with 8 because that would make us only count 2 cells. Now, how many cells are we counting? Well, obviously all three. They add up to 14. What adds up to 17 this way? 4, 6, 7. But it could go 2, 3, 7, 5, 12, 2, 3, 7. Well, this can't be a 5, so that specifically can't be. I don't know, this might be a bit difficult to work out. What do I need? We're going to hit the 8 in one of those two cells. That has to be, it can't go 2, 4, 8, but that's all I know. So that can't be a 4. Oh, well, it can't be a 4 because of that 4 anyway. That didn't really fix anything here. Now, come on, think about this again then. What's going on with this 17 sum? Well, we're not only adding 2 cells, we're at least adding 3. If we hit the 9 here, 3's the most we could add. But I suppose 4, 6, 9 does work. Oh, bother. Nothing going on at the top. What about these 18s? They just don't look very helpful. That 22's been done, by the way. I worked that one out. So I'm really just left to the clues over on the right side of the grid. This 22. That's going to see a big one there. How many cells is it going to add? It's got to be 876 is the max you could have there. So we're definitely adding at least 4 cells. There's going to be an 8 or a 7, and that 4, that's 12 or 11. Trouble is, I don't know if we're taking that one in as well. I don't know how it works. This 9 is probably very important. Does this go 4, 6? 4, 6, 9, by the way, is not the right sum. 2, 6, 9 would work. So if this was a 7 and we had a 9 here, then we might just get to the point of adding 4 cells. And I suppose this can be anything from 3, 6, 7, or 8. It's not that useful. I don't know which clue I'm meant to be working on, and I don't know how to do it. It's an interesting puzzle, though. It just does my head in, as I thought. These look so useless, these 2s and 4s up here. Maybe it's about this. So we've got to see at least 4 digits. Oh, look, there's a 2-4 pair. Okay, hadn't seen that. 2, 4, 1. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. This is 3, 5, 6, 7, or 8. Well, it can't be 8, and it can't be 7 because we're adding at least 4 cells. So that's 3, 5, or 6, which looks a lot like that one. Almost gives a triple. One of these is 7 or 8. And we've got to see at least 4 cells. Maybe we can't see 5. If one of these is 7 or 8, something bigger, 7, 8, 9. That's how you'd see 5. And then the 5 you'd be adding would be 4 and 7 is 11. 2 smaller numbers than 7 and a 3 or a 6 there to make 11. Well, that would have to be 3 or 5. In fact, that would have to be a 3, 5, 6 triple if this has to be bigger than that. And that would mean we'd be adding 25 in the first 5. So this is just adding 4 cells. Right, these 4 cells have to add up to 22. Plus 9 is 31. These have to add up to 14. I don't think they can. If that's a 7, this would have to be 1, 2, 4. Oh, if that's an 8, this can be 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's how we do this. Goodness me. And then we've got 5, 7, and 6. Oh, come on, don't mess it up now. That's not a 3. So these 4 will now be 4, 5, 6, 7. They do add up to 22. How many cells? We need 4, which end in 8 and 9. So we're going to see 2 of these. So, I don't really know. Okay, can't solve that. 1, 3, 8 are a triple here. That one can't be 1. Don't know what's going on in the final column, but these are all sorted now. 7, 2, I don't think this is actually going to help. 5, 6, I mean, that's just completion. It's not actually resolution. Right, if that was an 8, then we're counting 3 cells. So that's even, oh no, that's 2, 4. 4, 8, 6 would add up to 18 and would give the right count. Ah, the gap. The gap has to be 10 in this column. Where is the gap? And where can the gap be 10? Could be 3, 1, 6 there. But that would lead this to be 5, 8 and an even number, which wouldn't work. I think the gap's going to have to be 9, 1. The difference between 18 there, 17 there, 1, 9. I don't think there's any other way to get 10 in the middle of this. 3, 7 there, but that would leave only 2 cells to make 17. That doesn't work. That's got to be it. It's maybe not a rigorous proof, but I'm studying all these possibilities. There's no way to get 10 in a gap that allows 3 cells at the bottom and 3 cells at the top. Yeah, the gap's got to be in this area, and 6, 1, 3 makes it impossible up here. It puts 5 there, 8 there, and an even number there. It's not going to make 18. So 1, 9 is the gap. Wow, that's a weird way of doing it. These 3 do add up to 18, so they are 4, 8, 6, the max. This is 2, 7 there, 3 here, 5 here. And let's just check the count. Well, let's just check the skyscraper. 2, 5, 7, 9, 4 cells. 2, 5, 7, 3, 17. Yes, so we're on the right track. 1, 9 there. 4 here, 8 there. This 14 has worked as well, so that clue's done. Ah, this 22 is finished now, so I'm sure it works. 6, 7, 8, 9, say add 4 cells, they do make 22. This 18 we did. This one starts with a 2. This is our last X-sums clue to do. Ah, so we're going to meet an 8 somewhere here, because there's nowhere else for 8 to go in the column. So we're going to either count, if that's a 3, we're going to count 5 cells. We're going to add all those up to be 18. But if that's a 1, we're only counting 4. And if that's a 1, then this is an 8. Okay, that's plausible. If it's not a 1, if it's 2, 3, 7... This is 1, 6, or 8. That's all it can be. So if that's a 3, then we've got 2, 5, 12... 2, 3, 7, 1, 5. That works as well, I think. Oh. Oh, hang on. This is a 2, 7 pair here. This can't be a 1. This is a 6, 8 pair. Oh, I didn't see that. In fact, that being a 6, 8 pair makes this a 3. I expect I've missed some other very obvious deduction, but we're getting there now. Now, this does go 2, 1, 7, so it's going to see 2, 7, the 8 in one of those cells, and then 9, 4 cells to count. This is an 8, and now we've used all the X-sum Skyscraper clues. This 8 must disambiguate everything else in the middle 3 boxes. I'm sure that's... Ooh. No, I'm not sure that's going to work. Oh yes, look, I've got that 2 to deal with the 7, 2. Crumbs, I thought I had a huge deadly pattern, but I don't, obviously. We are finished. There we go. What a clever puzzle. Really interesting. I mean, a bit mind-warping to understand skyscraper clues and then how X-sums work as well, but good fun as always. Thank you, Garlic Bread Fries. As I said, happy birthday to you, March the 10th, and thank you all for watching these videos. It really does us good that you do that. Thank you, and hope to see you again soon on Cracking the Cryptic. Bye for now.